What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Investing Bros live show, and we have got a great one lined up for you today. We're going to talk about Bitcoin. We're going to talk about altcoins. There's some great news coming out today that I'm not going to promise you guys. I cannot promise anyone that this means that the dips are done and the bottom is in, but I can tell you based off of news coming out over the last 24 hours, it further cements me on the side of saying the bull market is nowhere close to being over, and we have a very bright future ahead of us for Bitcoin and the rest of the altcoin space. Jerome Powell was speaking to the Senate today after speaking to Congress yesterday, continuing to be bullish on that front when it comes to maybe rate hikes coming sooner than later. But also we got some intriguing information from one of the chairmen of the CFTC. We're going to talk about that a lot more. What does that mean for your altcoin holdings? Cheat code, it's a little bullish. We'll tell you why, though. But first, before we get into the details, you have to smash the like button. If you're new here, you don't have to do anything. Just consider, if you like the channel, hitting that subscribe button. It really does help us out growing in the YouTube space. But we have to first roll that intro. T-Shroom, let's get it. Yo, T-Shroom with the glasses today too, looking spiffy. I think your IQ just went up like 17 points with those glasses.
So it would seem. It does indeed appear that way. But Tim, make no mistake, these glasses are fixed upon my face to block out the blue light from the many screens that I've been staring at all the live long.
And guess what? That's a high IQ move. And you already had a pretty high IQ because you finished top of your class in economics back in college. So,
being so nice and thoughtful today, Tim. I love it.
T-Shroom, how are you doing today? How are you doing? How are the glasses doing?
Well, I'm doing better than I deserve, Tim. And you know why? It's because I realize we have such an awesome, dedicated bros group that comes in here day in and day out. Give it up for the bros. I want to know, how many months have you been watching? Let us know in chat. How many months have you been watching the bros and loving it? Let us know in the chat. How have you been doing today, Tim?
Man, I've been doing good. I'm having a good day, getting a lot of stuff done. Love engaging. I came in a little early to chat today. Sometimes I'm still doing stuff in the background, getting ready for the show, or maybe tying up some loose ends on the rest of the business day. But I came in to chat early. Want to give a shout out to some people talking with Conan Laverty and Marlon Brando. Now, here's the thing. We can't say the company's name. I don't know the company's name that Marlon works for. It's secretive. But if you're watching and you work at the same company as Marlon Brando, which is not probably his real name, I'd be surprised. I think, isn't Marlon Brando a celebrity, T-Shroom?
Marlon Brando is a famous actor there.
Okay. If you work at the same company as the guy that uses Marlon Brando as his YouTube handle, let him use work equipment to watch the bros. That's what I have to say about that. Love you guys. Thank you for all of the encouraging words. Oh, Marlon Brando, that's right. Yes. The Godfather.
Yeah.
How could I forget?
Shout out go against the family, Tim.
We're going to get into crypto talk. Now, Eric, I made Eric Wallen a promise. Eric Wallen is our resident Cardano maxi, and I say that in jest because he's not necessarily the greatest fan. It's okay. If you love Cardano or hate Cardano, we love you. That's the real important thing. I promised him, though, that I would not talk about Cardano today unless there was a super chat. T-Shirt, we have a super chat from Crypto Set Guy saying, you see that ADA news? Let's do some ADA-TA. Now, I don't know if there's any new breaking ADA news, so I'm going to allow this to be a technicality. We mentioned it. I'm sorry, Eric. But on your side, I'm not going to use that as a reference to do Cardano TA unless somebody else gives a super chat for it. That is our rules today. Let's check out, T-Shroom, what the rest of the market is looking like, because we do have a lot of green today here in our crypto bubbles. The biggest one, Stacks. We have been talking about Stacks on this channel now for a long time. It's having itself a nice little day. Earlier, I did see it was up like over 15%. There's been a small cool off in the markets over the last hour or so, but Stacks is having a great day. Other coins that we absolutely love here. Our portfolio is doing pretty well today, T-Shroom. Jasmy, 7.2%. One of our more risky plays, but something I think could have some major upside. It's up 7.2%. Ondo, who doesn't love Ondo? If you don't love Ondo, I still love you, but what's wrong? Why don't you love Ondo? I guess some people don't like it because of the tokenomics, that they think that the January printing is going to ruin it. but newsflash, it won't. It's going to be okay. Optimism is also doing very well. Aave is doing very, very well. Again, I can just read through a lot of them. Mint, Theta, ARB, Floki, lots of green on today's screen. But let's get into the Bitcoin charts. Bitcoin on the hourly chart, I was taking a look at closer time frame. On the hourly chart, it is in the bearishness. On the daily chart, it's bearish right now. So everything in the altcoin space looking kind of nice. We just got another super chat from Pug saying, did I hear 88 TA with a side of Jasmine link? All right, there we go. Of course, I say something about it. We'll have to do ADA a little bit later there, Pug. I'm sorry, Eric. I made a deal, and I was willing to stick to my deal, and I have to stick to my deal. There is now 2 super chats about Cardano. We will have to do some Cardano TA later in the show. For now, though, we need to stick over here to Bitcoin. Bearish today. Opened the day up here around 58,000, give or take. Came back down. Now, I told you guys something yesterday. And of course, whenever I make statements, the charts have to mess with me just a little bit and do a little bit different than what I said. I put this yellow line and said, hey, guys, do not yet be super bullish on Bitcoin. We had broken out already, but I said don't necessarily get super bullish on Bitcoin until we get some closes up above this yellow line and we beat out the high we had back here on July 4th. Why? Because this is a symmetrical triangle pattern that is in play. And instead of breaking the downside like this normally does when we have descending prices coming into it, it ended up breaking to the upside. But what I told you guys was, hey, it is not that abnormal for price action to shoot up to the upside, forming what's a little bit of like a bull trap, and then coming back to the downside. And I put my mark to watch right there around 58,000. And the 4-hour chart closed right above that level. We had a wick go a little higher, but sure enough, we are back down here, hovering close to, if not slightly below, that former level of resistance. That's why I was looking at the 1-hour chart here as well. We're starting to make some moves here, but at the end of the day, are we using this level now as support? I'm not ready to throw in the towel on the shorter time frames and say that this is definitely bearish, but I will say right now it is looking like we are recapturing, the bears are recapturing this line as a level of support. However, I'm on the 1-hour chart here, guys. I want to go out to the daily chart where I'm getting close. I'm not ready to say it officially just yet, but I'm getting close based off of news and some things I'm seeing on other coins, TA, to being bullish and saying that maybe the bottom is in. We've been covering here for the last couple of days the possibility and probability of Bitcoin returning to 50,000 for the first time in multiple months. Well, that is still absolutely possible. It's still something I'm not taking off the table. But there are signs within the news, and we're going to cover this. Actually, it might not be a bad idea before I go deeper into the charts, T-Shroom, to cover the news and then get back into the charts. But right now, even though the charts are slightly down the last hour or so, even though Bitcoin's kind of hovering around a level and trying to decide if it's going to be support or is going to be resistance once again, there's a reason that could cause Bitcoin's price to shoot to the upside, and it's coming from Jerome Powell and his recent comments yesterday and today being made about future levels of rate cuts. Now, I don't think that's breaking news. I don't think that's what we need to talk about here, T-Shroom, because I think most people know about what Powell said yesterday, kind of saying inflation, it's not necessarily what we want it to be, but it's going to be very hard to get it to 2%. Ultimately, what our focus is on now is we want to make sure we don't leave rates too high to hurt the economy. A bunch of banks came out here, T-Shroom, giving predictions on what inflation numbers could look like tomorrow. And if those numbers end up being lower than 3.4%, this could be very, very bullish. You put it up here, T-Shroom. What are we seeing here?
Yeah, so TD Securities, Barclays, Citigroup, Kalshi, UBS, they're all pretty much coming in either at 3.1 or below in the case of TD Securities. Goldman and Morgan putting it at 3.2. And then Kabesi points out if CPI inflation comes in as expected by these banks, inflation would be at its lowest level since January 2024, which, then that begs the question, is that an acceleration? Is that a promotion, a graduation from the quote unquote modest progress that has been made to fight inflation? My guess is that is not going to be enough, just given like the timeline for us to see a cut before September. But what's your read on this, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, I see this as potentially, I don't think the market has priced in good numbers for inflation, but like you said, if based off what Jerome Powell has said within the last 30 hours, based off of what these banks are projecting, and even what we're seeing trade economics project for these numbers tomorrow, as long as the inflation numbers do not come out above expectation, I would make the argument hitting their levels or beating their levels, going even lower. When you hear what Jerome Powell says about the concern at this point has moved away from curbing inflation and has way more to do with making sure we don't go into economic problems. Well, we've seen here recently GDP has been taking a little bit of a cut. That's a sign of economic strength. We're not in the negatives just yet, but our GDP is going down. Now he is saying for the first time in the over 2 years of rate hikes that have been in play to curb inflation. For the first time in 2 years, Jerome Powell is saying the weight is moving away from inflation getting to 2% and has a lot more to do with the economic downfall. It doesn't mean he's ignoring inflation numbers, but what he is saying is as long as inflation does not get out of control, his focus, the Fed's focus, is moving from inflation to the economy. And when you take a look at those predictions, if they end up hitting, I just fully believe that cuts in the market will in fact bring bonuses, or sorry, I don't know if bonus is the right word, but increases in price to the crypto markets, because right now they are not printing in favorable numbers. They're not printing in the likelihood of rate cuts coming. In fact, at this point, the markets have priced in one rate cut for the entire year of 2024. But we still are seeing, if you go to my screen here, T-Shroom, let me refresh this just to make sure it's the most up-to-date. We are sitting at 95% chance in July they're going to stay paused. I don't think Jerome Powell is even trying to imply July is going to be a rate cut. If for some reason inflation number comes below expectations and inflation's sitting really good, maybe we see a thought about July being a rate cut decision. But ultimately, what we have our eyes fixed on right now is September is beginning to go far and away the expectation of the first rate cut coming, 70% chance, actually 73% if you include the crowd thinking we'll have two rate cuts by then. You move into November, it's getting even stronger. Let's go 50% saying one rate cut, but then 32 saying two rate cuts, and 1.5 starting to say three. Only 15% of the predictive measure here is saying that in November we'll still say paused. And then you come in here into December. Right now, December has more than, what would that be? 70-something%, 75% chance that we should see at least two rate cuts. And as I told you, right now, the markets have actually dipped in baking in that we would only receive one rate cut. If this chart ends up being true, and by December of 2024, we have had two different 25 basis point cuts to our interest rates, that is very, very bullish. You add that in with the election season that is coming. You add that in with ETFs that will come in and add some extra juice. We'll have to talk about more of those here in a second. But ultimately, we're seeing a lot of things line up to say they're bullish. Now, I want to go back to the charts here and explain. Once again, am I saying that all of this falls into the lines of saying that this dip back here on July 5th was the bottom and that 53,500, we're not going any lower than that? I'm not ready to make that guarantee. There still is a lot of reasons to potentially suspect, especially if I come here to liquidations. Let's go out here to the 3-month chart. There still is some heavy liquidations, or if the traders wanted to take advantage of, or some longs that could face liquidations with an approach back down to 50,000. That still stays in the cards. You also will see, as we kind of turn on some Luxalgo indicators, you'll see a massive order block right here sitting at 51,000 that could be major, major support that exhausts all of the bears. That actually looks very attractive to traders. Ultimately, it's like if we want to get rid of all the bearish pressure and get rid of all the bearish control, let's let the price drop. It's almost like if you're playing tug of war and the other side's not budging a second, you might actually let them get a bit of momentum, let them get going, but then get their footment out of place. And then when you yank on that rope, you end up winning the whole war. Same thing. Go back to my screen here, T-Shroom. We're clearly in a wrestling. Oh, that's a good, yeah, great show, by the way. We're in a wrestling right now where the bulls are trying to regain control, but the bears still have enough that they can keep pushing. Wouldn't it kind of make sense from a trading perspective? Take advantage of the opportunity and the possibility of a move down here to 50,000. Let the bears get their profit. Let the shorter term bears get wrecked, and then shoot price back to the upside. I can't guarantee for certain that's going to happen, but it's definitely still within the cards. However, the news that is coming out, that is especially with the Fed changing their focus from inflation to worries about the economy, these are all signs pointing towards upward mobility and price action coming. I'm expecting new highs at least by late September of this year. The question is, when do we start that ascension? Is it now? Or do we have to wait maybe after one more push to the downside? T-Stream, we're getting into some more talk about altcoins, but real quick before we move on, we're gonna engage with chat here in a second as well. What are you feeling overwhelmingly right now? As you're looking at the charts and you're hearing this news, how are you feeling about the future price action maybe in the next week or two?
Next week or two, we might see a rounding of the bottom, right? And the next week, and what does that mean? With a bottom, we could have one more flush, nice daily wick, down quite a bit lower than what we've seen so far. So is the worst ahead of us? I don't think so. I think the worst is probably behind us, and we're going to be seeing a rounding of the bottom. Now, could I be wrong? I could definitely be wrong, right? That's why we continue to tune in and look at the charts on a daily basis and trade and invest accordingly. But that's my hunch is that we are, we've tested lower and we've tested lower again and put in a higher low. And I think at this point, that there's more than enough bullish headlines out there and news and developments. We're going to cover a couple of them here in just a second to go ahead and buoy a bit higher for Bitcoin and the rest of the alts along with it.
Yeah, I'm reading some chat here. Conan Laverty said, I reckon 48K and reckon so many shorts, but pump first. There's a chance also. Here's the thing you guys need to know about the charts. We don't have to shoot right down to eliminate 50K. If you go back to my screen, here we go, T-Sham. Yeah, we could rally up here back to 60,000 first and still make our way back down towards 50K. So there's a long road ahead of us before overwhelming optimism about Bitcoin's market. But you might be wondering if you're watching right now, Tim, this is confusing because you're saying the statement that a lot of people hate, the price could go up, the price could go down. Well, guess what? If I just left you with that sentiment or that advice, there's not a lot you can do with that, or you would know what to do with that. Ultimately, though, I'm not going to lie to you. Like I've told you guys before, we here at the Investing Bros, we don't believe in telling people what they want to hear. We don't just believe in talking into bias. We believe in telling people what they need to hear. And sometimes you need to hear the market at the moment's at an indecision point where it could go up or could go down. But what that means is you need to take advantage of every dip that you can. We've said this before, and I'll say it again. If you in your brain are saying, I have to buy the bottom perfectly, you're making a massive mistake. You do not buy perfect spots. That's how you miss out on buying opportunities and miss out on selling opportunities. You buy the good ones. And right now, when the markets are sitting in indecision, go back to my screen here, T-Shroom, we could rally up and start heading back towards all-time highs, or we could fall back down to 50,000. Either way, I can tell you right now, 57,000 is a good buying spot. If you have a DCA strategy that says you buy dips, well, watch as this thing is dipping and look for good opportunities on this dip to buy more, even if that dip only brings us down to 56,000. Try your best, maybe save some dry powder for just in case of 50,000. And then it's like, hey, if I don't get 50,000, I'll end up deploying it maybe up closer to 67,000. It's not going to be the best buy spot, but it's a good one. Prepare yourself for either direction and decide right now, where are my levels of buying? What is my level that I'm buying about? What's the amount I'm buying with that levels? And that's your strategy to long-term success. I'll tell you right now, let's say you had $1,000 and Bitcoin ends up going to 200,000. The difference in profit between buying at 57,000 and buying at 50,000, there's a difference, but it's not major. However, if you hold on to all your money and refuse to buy at this level, waiting for 50,000, and that never comes, and then you end up buying at 80,000 by the time you're convinced that we're not going any lower, there is a major difference in the profitability of buying at 57,000 and 80,000. So think through your buying signals like that. You might not always get the perfect bottom. Sometimes you get lucky and you do get it. But as long as you're in a zone where you think it's a good purchase, that's the level that you should feel confident about deploying some of your dry powder and letting it ride the long run. Even if there's a season of negative price action, You didn't buy it to take a profit a month later. You're buying to take profit at the top of the bull market, which is over a year away from today. Think about the long game, not just the short one, and that's what breeds success. T-Shroom, let's go ahead and transition here, though. There's another story. We're going to cover, I have a lot of altcoins I want to take a look at. Stacks has been crushing it today. Ondo's got some really interesting stuff going on. We're going to wait till later for Cardano because there were super chats, but we're going to save that towards the end of the show. But before we get into the actual charts, let's talk about another story because we've talked up to this point, we've covered why Bitcoin should be bullish. And if Bitcoin's bullish, the altcoins will be bullish as well. But the altcoin space themselves got some major news today as far as future regulation is concerned that is absolutely 137% bullish for the future of altcoin prices. What is that news?
Yeah, Tim. Well, we got a soundbite. It looks like from a district court, which is on the federal side, not the state side, from the district court, really, kind of cementing that Ethereum and Bitcoin are commodities. Let's take a look. Let's take a listen.
Just last week, a district court in the Northern District of Illinois entered summary judgment in favor of the CFTC in a case involving fraud by an unregistered entity that promised steady returns in digital asset commodities such as Bitcoin and Ether. In its decision, the court reaffirmed that both Bitcoin and Ether are commodities under the Commodity Exchange Act. Just last week, a district court...
So, yeah, it's very, very bullish. And this also came along with another statement from the CFTC, which as follows. Chairman says 70 to 80% of cryptocurrencies are non-securities. And it's comforting, but it also reminds you, okay, well, what about that 20 to 30% that aren't securities, or that are securities? What happens to those? What are they? What are the implications? And there'll be plenty of speculation on that. We could probably get into it as well. But overall, Tim, extremely bullish for altcoins. It's so difficult to overstate how much fundamentally has changed underneath the surface of crypto. And while prices have repriced to the downside because of Mt. Gox and some of the overlying mega forces in the market, the work has not stopped being done on the development side, as we just saw with Cardano, and on the legislative side, which we're seeing day in and day out, and now it's the judicial side. It's win after win after win. Eventually, crypto prices are going to reprice to the upside on all of this news, and I think that's how we get to 100,000 Bitcoin.
Yeah, I 100%. I think, the video itself definitely talking about, I don't think there's really anyone in question about if Bitcoin is going to be classified as a commodity. We felt very good about Ethereum being classified as a commodity. He's kind of cementing that even reminding us judges have ruled in that favor. But I love the comment that wasn't on the video, but what he talked about with the 70 to 80% of altcoins are not securities. And I'm with you. Like, what's he talking about with the 20 to 30%? But what I'll tell you is right now, some of your guys' favorites out there, like Solana, like Chainlink, like AVAX, and some of you are going to hate it, Cardano, that have been under the accusation of the SEC as potentially being securities. What he just said right there, the ones that most of us are thinking of when we think of altcoins, those are not securities. We're going to see a future favorable regulation for them. The 20 to 30, in my personal opinion, I want to get yours, T-Shroom, and chat, I want you guys to chime in as well. What is your thought? What's your opinion when he says 20 to 30% might still be securities, is what he's implying? I think he's talking about not even all of them, but the majority of the celebrity and nonsense meme tokens. I think that he is saying when you look at some of these stupid projects, and I don't want to be harsh there. Some of you guys like meme coins, but let's just face it. There's no backing behind them. There's no thoughts about what they would accomplish to produce any type of product or future development to the world. They ultimately are just the price action of this coin will be pumped or dumped based off of how many people buy or sell. There's no purpose they're pumping into. They're pumping it with the thought of when I sell later, I'll be able to take a profit. That's the ones that I believe he's referring to. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. I do believe that meme coins should be treated differently. I'm not saying that they should be made illegal. I think they should be handled differently via regulation than the rest of the crypto space. But what about you, Tishan? What's your opinion on his assumptions of these 20 to 30% altcoins might still be securities?
I actually disagree with you on this one, Tim. I don't think it's going to be meme coins. I think meme coins are going to be kind of looked over and not considered as securities. I think they're going to be considered, if anything, if they get reclassified away from commodities, it'd be just like gambling instruments in some sense. But it's kind of unprecedented, right? Meme stocks has only been a thing in the last 3-5 years, right? So that's a really new phenomenon. But meme coins are not, they're for the age of crypto. For as long as crypto's been around, memes are pretty young as well, right? So there's a lot going on here that is making folks think which ones are going to be the securities, which ones are not. So I don't think it's going to be the memes that are going to be classified as securities. I think it's going to be cryptos that potentially they have for-profit organizations behind them. That could be one factor. Now, do I know that? Am I saying that with a large level of authority? No, right? But that's just something that I consider when I would be looking at these. Is the project stating that they are a profit-seeking entity? The organization, the people behind the project, are they seeking profits and looking at the coins as a tool, a means of operating a business to pursue those profits? Or is it a nonprofit that's providing a public utility, a public good? And I think that distinction may come into play when trying to figure out which ones are securities and not. Now, don't hear that and go look up all the crypto that you're invested in and sell off all the ones that have for-profits. Like, this is just my speculation on this headline that we've seen here from the CFTC. So that is my take. That is what I think, and we'll talk about that more next week in deep takes. Which Tim, it went really, really well. The deep take yesterday, and today we've got bro time after the stream that we can keep the conversation going in the Discord. Tim, we've got 2 super chats here. Have you seen these? Have you heard of these?
I've heard of them for sure. I've seen them, I think, as well. Crypto Seth, shout out to him. Moon soon. I don't know. You know what I'm going to say, actually? Because I've been so bullish today, and I'm very, very bullish. But depending on what your definition of soon is, the answer is no. Because I would interpret moon soon as like maybe the next week or two, maybe next month. And I don't think that's the case. I think that it's not going to be as fast as everyone wants it to be. It's almost like it'll start off a very slow bullishness. And I'm talking about Bitcoin and altcoins here. There'll be a very slow churn of bullishness. We'll just creep our way back up to former highs of the bull market. And then after beating that out for a little bit, there then will be an explosion in price that just takes off, and it's just out of control. So moon coming, Seth, but not soon, in my opinion. We had the other super chat from Morgan Powell saying, quick lunch break, supporting the bros. Thank you so much, Morgan. Glad to see you in here. Let's get into some of the altcoins, because we kind of prefaced this. I thought the other thing was Crypto Set Guy made a good point. There's certain DAOs, depending on what the DAO is trying to accomplish. DAOs, I forgot about DAOs for a second, Crypto Set Guy. Thanks for reminding me. That there are certain DAOs, T-Shroom, that absolutely could be credited as you're investing based off the work of somebody else to make profit. Depending on what DAO we're talking about, there are some I think that fall into that camp. That being said, let's get into altcoins that are having some movements here today. Let's start off with the number one mover here, Stacks. Now, Stacks, it's only up 8.5% since the start of the candle, but within the last 24 hours, where are we? Let's go back to bubbles. Stacks is still up 11% since 24 hours ago right now. Why am I still drawing? Turn off the drawing tool. There we go. Now, one of the reasons why it's having a nice rally, I'll just go ahead and say this. It's having a nice rally because it's one of the coins that still has been falling pretty severely. In fact, I'm very bullish on Stacks. Just because we are down or actually fell close to 67%, doesn't mean I'm not bullish, but that was a dramatic fall. Not every altcoin had to fall that much, but it's responding pretty nicely after losing a long-term level of support here back on the 4th. It's back up above that long-term level of support and could get very interesting in terms of moving forward. Now, we had a little bit of falling wedge in play here before. Now you're starting to ask the question, instead of a falling wedge, are we kind of looking at what's happening right now on Stacks as more of a descending channel? Sometimes you have to redraw the lines of support and resistance. And yes, we have some outliers down here, but I do think that that's something to keep an eye on a longer-term phase, is that we have been on Stacks in a descending channel here with the most recent high and the most recent lows. This is something long-term that is still extremely bullish and should send Stacks price to the upside. But let's take a look at what else is happening here. If you turn on Lux Algo, we did come down and touch not only the support level of that descending support line, but also the take profit where Lux Algo told us to short on the daily chart way back here on the 16th of June. We hit that take profit that it called for. So there's just another great example of Lux Algo calling out a perfect level of selling and then taking profit on that order. A lot of room on the daily chart to the upside, because even when you take a look at this order block right here, 174. If you look at what it's being made of, and I educate our group on this, but I try to educate you guys here on YouTube as well. The thicker red line, neither one of them are very thick. So that's another reason I'm not necessarily thinking this order block is really that substantial. But that thicker red line communicates bearish exhaustion more so than bullish exhaustion. So in fact, while there could be some selling and buying that happens right here, it could end up working almost more like a catalyst to continue to the upside. The next real level of resistance, in my opinion, is going to be this descending red cloud right here called our smart trail. That's right there in line with our resistance. I would not be surprised to kind of meet it somewhere here, maybe later in July, maybe sometime early August, and run into that cloud and hit some resistance somewhere just south of about $2. But if that gets cleared, what I'm looking at here, everybody, that's not a strong order block of resistance. Same thing, this one. Red's thicker than green. If we can make it up here to 241, that's not a thick level of resistance. If you make it up here to $3, that's not a thick level of resistance. As a whole, what I'm looking at is once the bulls get the ball rolling, it's like a snowball down a hill. We actually could just continue to make that snowball bigger and bigger and bigger. It gets better than that, though. And here we go. I'm still drawing with that drawing tool. My goodness. Get it off my screen. Let's go ahead and take a look. Thank you for that, T-Stream. Let's get in here and take a look at what's happening with our Lux Algo indicator. Notice that here we actually have a small buy signal. It's not the strongest buy signal I've ever seen, but we have a bullish reversal dot that just flashed. We have a green momentum dot on the oscillator that's flashing, and the money flow is flowing positively. But even better than that, look at what we've seen happen here more recently, where the lows of the oscillator have gotten just a little bit higher. In that same time frame, though, the lows of the price action have gotten lower. This is called a bullish divergence. Not only are we getting a buy signal on our oscillators, we're also seeing a support level get hit. We're seeing a bullish divergence, and this is all things that should send us to the upside. If I'm not wrong, I believe we're seeing the same thing kind of come into play here when we take a look at some things on the weekly chart. Not necessarily bullish divergence, actually. Let's talk about what's going on here. We're back down to levels with the RSI, and I referenced this yesterday on the show where I was with Josh, Stocks with Josh. We talked about weekly oscillator levels that we have not seen in a long time. But what happened the last time on Stacks? We did see the oscillator here on Lux Algo get back to 20 on the level of oscillation weakness. Well, the last time that happened was back in September of 2023. What happened back then? Oh, that was the bottom out, a bounce off of this blue level support, but also a bottoming out before a massive rally came into Stacks. Well, okay, that's cool. What happened the time before that? We got down to those levels. Oh, you mean the bottom of the bear market way back here in November of 2022? In fact, you keep going back all the way back here. Every time we've been down those levels, actually has not been very much whatsoever. These have all marked bottom positions of pullbacks that then went on to rally significantly higher. We're not talking about small bounces of like a week or two. We're talking about a substantial bullish push for months on end of price back to the upside. So a lot of evidence from the news suggesting bullishness coming to crypto, but I'm starting to see a lot of the charts, Stacks included, start to imply that the bottom is closer to being in than you might think.
Now, Tim,
let's talk about.
Hold on. I see you moving on to the next coin. But Tim, I've got to stop you and I've got to ask. I've got to really point out that you're using Lux Algo. I mean, you're very experienced with it. You make it look easy. But, is this something that I could put on stocks? Like, could I put Lux Algo on like ExxonMobil or Tesla?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you can use it on stocks and crypto and everything else. And it's got like different features. It's got the smart trail, it's got the oscillator, and it's got the order blocks. Yeah. Now, how can folks get if they're liking what they're seeing you shuck and jive with this tool, getting a deeper layer of analysis on the charts? How can someone sign up for Lux Algo, and why would they sign up for Lux Algo?
Well, there's a couple of reasons why. First of all, I'm looking at the Tesla chart right now. Tesla it's been calling this one very beautifully itself, getting here most recently into the take profit. I think that a Tesla reversal more than likely is coming. There's a lot of things flashing saying it should be overbought, but Luxalgo not only is the best trading signal in the world, it's on TradingView. Make sure you have a TradingView account as well. But there's a link in the description down below. You can go get it. And when you use our link, you get 20% off. On additional, if you buy a whole year at a time, you can get up to 40% off. But then when you use our link, 20% on top of that. But to make it even better, we have a VIP trading group. That is a private group that we talk about the markets every single day. I show different things that I'm looking at to impact my trades, when to buy, when to sell. By purchasing Luxalgo and creating a ticket in our Discord to submit that you purchased Luxalgo, you had access to that trading group. So it's really a win-win-win for everyone and everything to go ahead and go get Luxalgo. Go sign up today with link down below, get 20% off all of your deals.
Yeah, you support the channel. It's 20% off with our link. And look, if you don't like it, you can return it within 30 days for a full money-back guarantee. Tim, let's get into Ondo.
Let's talk about Ondo. Now, Ondo is one that if you, depending on what charts you're looking at here, we had talked a long time ago. Ooh, my voice still kind of getting back there. We talked a long time ago about some strong support down here at 83, some strong support here on the 90-cent zone. Those both actually got hit here more recently. Once again, days ago, I kind of was in the boat of saying I'm not convinced for sure it's over, but we did hit a lot of falling support levels that we really needed to get back to and kind of clear out some space for Ondo. But when I'm taking a look at it today here, let me turn off some stuff. Let me get back into some other things here. When I'm taking a look at a lot of different things happening on Ondo, it's making me very, very bullish. One of the biggest ones here is the daily chart Luxalgo Oscillator. This thing is a superpower for knowing when to enter trades. And what I'm seeing right now is we have recently hit a green reversal. We've hit a bullish momentum dot reversal, and the money flow, technically it hasn't crossed into being bullish above that bearish threshold right there, that thin red line, but that money flow going positive, this is a trifecta account that would say that it is a buy signal at least to head back up to a smart trail. Now, the other thing that makes this bullish is we had excessive amount of sellers come into the space driving price all the way down to the lower 80-cent zone. They are now leaving the space. So this is now actually four things saying that a buy signal could be in play. Like I said, when you get that buy signal, you take a look to the upside at where the smart trail is or a significant order block. And we're falling here a little bit, so you have to kind of guesstimate where we're going to be at the bottom. But long story short, it could make it back up to 113 to possibly 120 before we run into that daily smart trail whatsoever. I'm a little bit of a cautious trader. So right now I am in a trade where I'm going to be taking some profit around 110 here on Ondo. But there's still a lot of reasons to be bullish on this time frame. You go out to the weekly chart. We're seeing now the weekly chart you can't really do on Ondo. Actually, this is one you can't use the weekly chart. Why? Well, it's not really been around for that many weeks. It got created here back in January of this year. So you're going to have to kind of depend upon the daily chart, but massive buy signals. In fact, just taking a look at the history, the RSI level, the oscillator level for Ondo is the lowest it has ever been for the entire existence of the coin. Now, again, that's only been 7 months, but once again, take a look at times where the oscillator even got close to these levels. We're talking about the massive dip we had back in March that went on to a massive rally. And then, of course, right back here in June, where you're not going to call a massive rally, but there was a major bottoming event here on $1, and we ended up shooting back up to 132 before the correction ended. So again, does this indicator imply that this is the beginning of a major, major bull market to send us new highs? It's too early to say that one for certain, but it absolutely is saying that it's time once again for a major pump in Ondo price. So I'm looking to take advantage of that with a trade. And again, you could take advantage of this one up closer to 120. I'm a little more conservative. I'm looking closer to 110 to suffice my profits on that trade. Let's see what else is going on here, T-Shroom. What other coins should we be taking a look at today that are having some big days?
Well, yeah, let us know in the chat. What are some other coins you guys want to see? In the meantime, I asked at the top of the hour, and we're going to get a good payoff here because a lot of people chimed in. How long have you been watching and loving the Investing Bros? Invisible Voices said 1 month. NT Sointz said 2 months. Leslie Herbert said 3 months. Christopher Turner, 2 months. Let's see. Jonathan Connard Wasn't sure, but said definitely the past 6 months. I don't comment much. Rock on. Senza said been here at least a year, I think. Average Crypto Joe said been here since first episode. That is big time awesome right there. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. D. Spencer said 4 months and loving it. I actually stopped watching other content creators for the bros. Wow.
Wow, that's commitment right there.
And then we got a big finish here. Antonio Campos said, I found you guys a couple of months ago, and I think you're great. What more can you ask for that? Well, here it is. Susan Trum said, no hoodies, pointing out the inconsistency of Tim's wardrobe. What's going on, Tim? Got some shots fired in the chat.
Yeah. You know, it's one of those things that it's summertime. It's really hot. Even in the office. I'm in an office right now, a bunch of people who I think are like programmed to live in the Bahamas year round because I think the AC is like turned like 79 or something. Like maybe it's 80.
Oh, that's very high.
So I would probably cease to breathe if I continue to wear a hoodie into the summer months here in Georgia. And I'm teaching you got it worse. You're down there south of me, down in Gainesville. I saw a chat here I wanted to address. And again, it's one of the reasons why, no offense to this person, David Earnhardt. I love responding to the critics of these things. He said, y'all shill the poop emoji. And that's a happy poop emoji, so it's a good thing. Y'all shill the poop emoji out of Ondo. LOL. Now, I want to make sure people understand. We've said this once before. I'll say it again. I want to make sure you guys understand when you accuse influencers of shilling projects. A lot of times people even say like, "Oh, they're just shilling their own bags." Yes. I'll going to be completely 100% transparent with you. We shill the projects that we invest in. Now, think about that critically for a second. Is that a bad thing? Would you rather us tell you to go buy things that we're not confident in buying ourselves? Is that the good alternative? No, I would like to think that if I'm going to talk about a project and say that you should buy it, I would have bought it myself. And the reason I bought it was because I'm bullish on the project long term. If I was not bullish on it and did not want to shill it and tell people it was a good project, I probably wouldn't buy the token. So, yes, we shill the poop emoji out of Ondo. That's a true statement. I see it as a good thing. Why? Because we are very bullish on Ondo. There's actually a reason, even in today's headlines, that's not directly corresponding to Ondo, but it does have implications that will affect Ondo. T-Shroom, let's read that tweet coming out here, breaking, I think, within the last hour or so. That's right. What is going on?
Well, trillion with a T is in this headline here. 1.64 trillion asset manager Goldman Sachs, maybe you've heard of them, to launch 3 tokenization projects this year. Before 2024 is through, Goldman Sachs is going to be launching tokenization projects. Now, of course, it doesn't come out and say Ondo, right? And I would even say there's definitely no guarantee that it's going to be Ondo, right? But there is a guarantee that this is happening because it's just they came out and said it. Goldman Sachs is going to be doing this. So, Tim, help us draw the lines between Ondo and this headline and some of the criticism we're seeing in the chat on Ondo.
The first thing to know is that this should perk up the eyes of every single person watching real-world asset coins. We're talking about Chainlink. We're talking about AVAX. We're talking about Ondo. We're talking about there's some others here in play. There's some others we were talking about recently. VeChain is one that could be interesting. But
there's a lot.
Before I could list you a bunch of real-world assets, why am I thinking that this one could be extremely beneficial for Ondo? And why do we shill the poop emoji out of Ondo frequently on this channel? By the way, again, David, no offense. I love it. I love the question. Actually, it's going to make some engaging content for everybody because there's probably some people who are wondering, why are you bullish on Ondo? Let me start before I say why I'm bullish. I just want to set the stage properly for everybody. There is a reasonable, rational argument as to why some people do not like Ondo. We have talked about this before. I want to kind of just show you guys the fullness. What happened? Did I get rid of my... Okay, I got to type up CoinMarketCap. I somehow deleted it from my tab bar. All right, here we go. That was really quick. Go ahead and share my screen here, T-Shroom. Let's go find Ondo way down here. It's number 59, I believe, or 60 or something. Oh, it's up to 57. All right. It's up today. Look at that. This right here, this is what people are concerned about. It's the circulating supply versus the total supply, right? So Ondo currently is operating at about 13% of its supply compared to total, right? 1.38 billion tokens. That's billion, right? Yeah, billion tokens in circulation, but the total supply is 10 billion. Now, if you don't know about the tokenomics, you don't know about the future of what's happening on a coin, you look at that and you have to say, all right, that's concerning. Well, you want me to take it a step further and say why it's even more concerning? Because we know the future of the coin. We know that by the end, by early of 2025, we're going to see that number reach closer to 4 billion tokens. I don't think it's quite to 4 billion, but it's close. What that means is the total supply of Ondo will more than double. So unless the demand more than doubles, the price action should fall, correct? Right? If the current price is 97 cents, if no demand comes into the space, that price will fall 50% if we double the supply. All right, so that is the case. I want to lay out the whole case for everybody. That is the case to not be bullish on Ondo, to be worried about Ondo and saying, I don't know if this price has gains in it. Here's where I think you guys should start getting bullish on it. Why am I thinking that this news from Goldman Sachs is affecting Ondo? Because Goldman Sachs is very closely tied to the same inner workings as BlackRock. Some of you guys have heard about it. Some of you guys know about it. Guess who has become very vocal and outspoken about what coins they're going to be using for their action in real-world assets? BlackRock has talked about Chainlink and Ondo as two of their leading favorites to that space. So when I hear that Goldman Sachs is now entering and saying, we're going to take our $1.6 billion and get into the real-world asset space as well, I have an inkling they're going to be following the footsteps of what BlackRock is doing. Now, I also start off by telling you BlackRock currently ranked number 57. This is a project with the partners that they're creating, the things that they're accomplishing, more than likely will be at least a top 20 coin, possibly rivaling to be in the top 15. What does that mean for market cap? It means the market cap probably will be somewhere between $75 to $100 billion. Go back to my screen here, T-Shroom, because yes, the supply is scary. The fact that the supply is going to more than double is something to be aware of. But the current market cap of Ondo, right here above my head, 1.3 billion. If we see this get to 100 billion, that's not an 100x, that's not quite their 100x, but we're talking about a potential 70x in market cap for Ondo over the next year with all of the people that are going to use it. Even with the doubling of supply, that still would give you a 35x on Ondo's price action. I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm thinking I'm more reasonable. My expectation of my Ondo investment is I'm probably going to get somewhere between a 15 to 20x. Either way, despite the fact that there will be unlocks of tokens, despite the fact that they will more than double their supply, the market cap will be so overwhelmingly bullish that it will still make it well worth holding in your portfolio. And then years to come, future bull markets, it might just get even more explosive as the tokenomics work themselves out to be more favorable. So yes, we shill Ondo. Yes, we're aware of the side effects, but this is a project that is just going to be so overwhelmingly bullish in terms of the money flowing in and the companies that they partner with, that despite the poor tokenomics, it will still bring massive gains to your portfolio. If you don't like it, don't invest in it. We're not here to tell you what to invest in and what not to invest in. I'm just going to tell you what I'm investing in. I'm going to tell you why I'm investing in it. And if you agree with me, feel free to invest as well. If you disagree, feel free to leave it out of your portfolio. But it's in mine, so I am going to shill the poop emoji out of it because I'm that big of a believer in what its future looks like.
Yeah, well said. Well said, Tim. And, I picked up some Ondo as well when I probably about only 3 or 4 weeks into knowing what it was, which usually I go a lot slower. But the thing is, if you go over to their website, the Ondo website, it's just clean, right? Institutional grade finance, now on chain. They know what they're doing, right? It's one scroll down, BlackRock logo, you see it. You see it again alongside Goldman Sachs, Bridgewater, Millennium. These are folks, these are key executive team members that have come from Goldman, so not announcing a partnership with Goldman necessarily. But it's just clear that, look, as cryptocurrency evolves and develops, it was inevitable that Wall Street was going to come out and pick the winners, right? And sometimes the winners were going to be crypto that weren't even on the playing field yet. That is what we're seeing with Ondo. Now, if you think that Wall Street is going to completely drop the ball and suck when it comes to crypto, then Ondo is probably a bad bet, right? But chances are Wall Street is not going to let crypto programmable money, the future of finance, the future of currency at the intersection of tokenization, the physical world. Like, they're not going to just let that pass it by and keep trying to buy, Exxon Mobil and Home Depot and Facebook. They're going to get involved, and Ondo is one of the ways that they're getting involved. So, to say Ondo is poop emoji, I don't know where you're coming from with that, unless you just look at crypto in a super purist way that Wall Street shouldn't be involved. In which case, I can kind of see where you're coming from. Tim, we've got a factoid of the day, and I'm really excited about it. The factoid of the elf definitely did a good job with this one.
Okay,
Can we get to it?
What we got?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, today's factoid of the day is brought to you all by Houdini Swap. So definitely go, if you're looking to swap some crypto to do it privately in compliance, go and look no further than Houdini Swap. So Tim, right now, First Lady Michelle LaVaughn Robinson Obama is an American attorney and author who was born in which great city of these United States? Was it A, Chicago, B, Phoenix, C, San Diego, or D, ATL, Atlanta?
I didn't notice she had two middle names. So
There you go.
Maybe Robinson is her maiden name.
It's possible.
Yeah,
It's possible.
Okay. That would make more sense now that I'm kind of working out in my head. I know that her and her husband, good old Barack, served in Chicago for a while. We're not. I don't know really where we settled as far as where Barack ended up being born. Was it Hawaii? I don't know where we settled on that one. But as far as Michelle, I have Earth. I have no idea.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go with Chicago because I don't know anything else about her life.
Okay.
But now that I'm thinking, hold on, wait, don't. I'm not submitting it because I feel like that's on there to mess with me.
Interesting.
I'm gonna switch it up to Atlanta. I'm gonna go with Atlanta because, and this isn't a racist thing. Not all black people are born in Atlanta, but I have a feeling that this was put together to confuse the crap out of me. And it really is as simple as she was born in Atlanta.
Okay, here we go. Some high level thought here from Tim, and he gets it wrong.
Gosh,
he chokes.
darn it!
He chokes. Oh,
it really
Tim,
was
Tim.
back there at Chicago. Okay, all right.
There she is, First Lady of the United States, Chicago, Illinois. Tim, how does it feel?
He needs some.
Yeah, I was close. I mean, yeah, I wasn't close because I literally went as far away from the answer as I could. Yeah, French Toaster said Tim is so good at these.
Usually you are.
Passive aggressive right there. I don't know. Like sometimes my reasoning ends up working. It failed me today. My reasoning got me out of the right answer when it really was sitting right in front of my face. Is there a reason as to why the elf chose that as the factoid for today?
Well, Tim, a little bit. 2024. We're not going to say too many words here, but you can see that this is a chart of something you may recognize, and someone growing in the polls is actually not First Lady Michelle Robinson. So, she would have been easier to look at, I'd say, than some of the alternatives. She's a good looking lady, but as you can see here, the pulling away is an orange man who's been orange pilled. And we're very, if you're pro Bitcoin, you're probably happy to see that spread on that chart. Some of you won't be happy to see that, and that's okay. That's totally fine. I get it, but it is what it is, and that's on Real Clear Politics. The betting odds, that's what Vegas is saying, and Michelle is going to dodge a bullet here. It looks like she's not going to be the pick.
There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things happening in chat right now. There's a lot of things happening between my two ears right now that I'm not going to talk about. There's just some things better left unsaid. What I'm going to say is, as far as we have been told and led to believe, Michelle was the First Lady of the United States. Her name is Michelle. Her last name, maiden name was Robinson, and
That's
her
right.
now married name is Obama. Whether she is good to look at or not, I will leave to each individual opinion of you in the audience. Anyone is entitled to what they think about said person. Let's move on to more Q&A, talk more charts and different things. That whenever we venture into those areas of conversation, T-Shroom, things always get dicey. Now it's fun. I'll tell you that it's the same thing of like when you're a little kid and you like to play on the dangerous side of life. You know, there's a thrill.
Right.
But those conversations always scare me, and especially when you read chat. And we have a very good chat. This is a family show with a lot of loving, red-blooded Americans and people, red-blooded non-Americans, but still appreciate cryptocurrency talk and their families. And it still gets a little bit hectic when we bring up topics like this. So it's always something that makes you look over your shoulder and say, who's watching the stream? Who's going to read these comments? Who's going to hear what we say and take it the wrong way? It's all fun. It's a lot of fun. If you want more conversations like this, if this is the best promo for why you guys should join the memberships and join the membership weekly chats that we have on Wednesdays, because conversation often goes down this route. We'll talk crypto, but often we find ourselves in rabbit trails of, let's talk about the real identity of Michelle Obama. And it's a good one. Let's go ahead and go back in. We had a super chat that we promised that we would do Cardano T-Shroom. So it's time to go back and take a look at what's happening over there. It's breaking out. Let's just put it that way. We're breaking out to the upside right now, back above a level of resistance. Now, we're not setting higher highs, so I want to make sure people understand it's bullish, especially over the last 3 days, but it's not necessarily in a spot of overwhelmingly bullish confidence. Until we get back up above, I would say 45 cents, honestly, back above this, back above both the daily smart trail and this bearish breaker block, I'm going to continue to say it's not yet time for Cardano bulls to really be waving the flag and saying that they're back, because they're not. They're not back. I love Cardano. I invest in Cardano, but I'm not an idiot. Cardano is bearish right now, like the rest of the market as a whole. But are we seeing the signs we need to see? The answer is yes. We talked about this with other coins. This is not simple bullish divergence. This is pretty egregious bullish divergence. Lower lows in price action, but extremely higher lows in the oscillators right here, right? So major bullish stuff happening there. If you really zoom in and take a close look here, is this within 12 candles? Does it fit my rule? We had a June 28th level. It is. This is literally the outskirt of my rule. My rule when I choose these as buy signals is that we have to, well, actually, yeah, it's right at 11 days. You have to have a 12 candle period. If you get all three of them spread out more than 12 candles, then it does not count. But technically speaking, we got a bullish reversal, a bullish momentum, and a positive money flow within 11 days here on Cardano. When you pair that with the bullish divergence that came out into play here a couple days ago, these are things that probably could see Cardano's price get back up here to roughly 40 to 43 cents. Again, similar to where we were just a couple of days ago, back here on July 3rd and the 4th. So again, does that mean the bulls are back in control? No, it does not. I mean, if you're looking for a trade opportunity, maybe you want to take a look at a small time frame and say, all right, let me make sure I don't buy Cardano overextended in a – what did I just do? All right, let's get that back. Maybe you don't want to buy this as an overextended position. Let me spread these back out, look at my other oscillators. And I think that Cardano probably could cool off here. This is the 1 hour chart. We hit our take profit. Don't be surprised to see Cardano fall back down to 37 cents. But after that 37 cents, could we make a move back up to 40? Absolutely. And then you take a look to the longer time frames, like the weekly chart. There's a lot of bullishness on this weekly chart. We are hitting right now. We're in this bullish breaker block. It's pretty fat, but we're in that one for sure. When you look at our long-term weekly oscillators, there's few charts actually right now as oversold as Cardano. When you come back and you look at where the oscillators have bottomed out here recently, once again, go back and show every time in the history of Cardano's price action we get this low, major bottoming out, and rallies come shortly after. So that's what's leading me to long-term bullishness here on Cardano, especially since we're still in a phase of not getting, some people are going to say we are close. We're not close to setting new bottoms to this bear market, technically all the way down at 21 cents. This is still a bull market. It's just repeating a very similar move that it did all the way back in 2019, where before COVID came in and it was a black swan event that changed everything up, Cardano got very close to setting new lows to the bear market, only to go on and have the most explosive bull market of any coin out there. Are we going to see an exact repeat? No, we're not going to see exact repeat. But to say that Cardano's price is done and going to zero is a mistake. The price still has a lot of room to the upside. And right now it's dramatically oversold as a project as a whole. What other coins you guys want to take a look at here? Eric Wong says 88 Bitcoin is so dang close. Close to what? Close to the bottom? Close to... That's completely fine to me if it's close to the bottom, by the way. Cardano Bitcoin, you share my screen here, T-Shroom. We're back down. We just bottomed out at the same levels we bottomed out back in January of 2021. What happened at this level back in January 2021? Oh, that's right. We just went dramatically to the upside and had a crazy bull market. So, I'm not too worried about that chart being low. It's not altcoin season either yet. It's Bitcoin season. So I'm not necessarily too worried about that as a whole. Question in chat here.
Oop. Correction. It's not Bitcoin or altcoin season. It's Tesla season right now.
Oh, that is true. Let's do Tesla here in a second. That's actually a good topic. But Moltisanti said, which Lux Algo membership do you recommend for a begging trader? I think it's beginning. Let me show you guys what will happen when you click on our link. Share my screen here, T-Shroom. Let's go down here again. Make sure that when you click that, make sure you click on our link. Don't just go to Lux Algo because you won't get 20% off. And if you want to be a part of our VIP trading group, I can't get you in there if you're not attached to our group. So make sure, click on our link. What will happen is you'll get drawn to a page like this. Click on that 30 days risk-free. That's really cool about Lux Algo. You have 30 days to decide if you even want to keep it. So when you hit purchase, you're good. Like if in 10 days, you're like, I don't like Lux Algo. You get your money back, no problem whatsoever. My recommendation, let's go back over here real quick. And I'm just going to turn on some signals. If you want just the order blocks, and the order blocks are great on Lux Algo, very, very lethal. But if that's all you want, that is what you would get when you purchase the Essential package, all right? Essential will only get you the price action concepts. You also get access to their Discord and some 24/7 support, yada, yada, yada. But if you're looking for indicators, the only indicator you get is the price action concept. That is this right here. It gives us order blocks. Can tell you change of structure, break of structure, all this different stuff. But that's only a small fraction of what we use Lux Algo for. If you like having the buy signals, sell signals, the smart trails of support and resistance, these clouds of support and resistance that take profit and stop loss suggestions, and this lethal oscillator. Oh, look at that one. 88 or Bitcoin. Looks like it's about to have a buy signal here on the weekly chart. Keep an eye on that one. But if you want those ones, you're going to need to get this middle package called Premium. If you buy a whole year, it comes out to about $40 per month. If you didn't do a year and only a monthly, it's $67.99. So decide for yourself. Maybe you want to test 1 month at the higher price and then commit to a longer-term price level later. Anyone who's saying, should I buy Ultimate? I don't use Ultimate. That comes with a back-testing system. If you're not good at back-testing your own algorithms and your own indicators, maybe you'd want to purchase that one. I like back-testing my stuff myself, so I don't utilize it. But it is a feature that's very cool. I highly recommend going with the premium version for traders. And again, you'll save more money when you purchase the premium that already comes with 40% off. But then when you hit subscribe and you hit our link, let's sign in with Google. Hopefully this doesn't give me anything sensitive information. Oh, sensitive information. Don't go. Yeah, okay. You're good, T-Shroom. I got you, bro. What do I want to do? You're so good at
sensitive
this.
Information.
You're so good at this, T-Shroom. You are
some milk.
the greatest thing ever. All right, go back here, guys. You want to make sure what you see when you check out is that thing right there, the Investing Bros 20% off, which takes $95. If you don't have that, you're paying $479. When you have our link, you'll save $95. You'll only spend $383 and get a whole year access to all those indicators, and you'll get into our VIP trading group. So it's really a bargain of a deal here. Let's go take a look here, T-Shirt. Good question there in chat for Lux Algo. Let's take a look at Tesla. We need to talk about stocks more often because you're absolutely right. The crypto market's in a bull market right now, T-Shirt. The stock market is in a super bull market. I mean, they're hitting all-time highs usually every day. Tesla has been the darling of the stock market. Within the last 2 weeks, Tesla is up from a dip back down to $139. It's up almost 90 or over 90% from that fall. How much further can we go, though? There's a level I'm keeping an eye on. There's a couple of reasons to watch out for a potential price back up around 280 to potentially 290. Keep an eye on that. I'm going to explain why. Let's pull up some Luxalgo oscillators, indicators, and take a look at what's happening. First of all, we're wrestling right now with a technically bearish order block in play right here. We're hitting the take profit on the buy signal. But what makes it worse, remember all the crypto TA we just did where we showed historically low oscillator levels that usually correspond with a rally in price? Tesla's at the exact opposite, where if you look at the history of where we are at the oscillator, this is marking major reversal patterns, like back in July of 2023, like back in November of 2021, like back in January of 2021, right? So you're also going to be able to factor in here the price action. It's sitting in a spot where, well, that's not technically bearish divergence right there just yet. Maybe it's the daily chart. The daily chart has bearish divergence. No? Okay. All right. Let's forget what I was saying right there. That's not bearish divergence. But what I am seeing is that on the weekly chart, let's go ahead and let's put this down here, saying if we cannot close above 265, this order block will stay as a strong level of resistance, and more than likely with the overextended level that Tesla is, probably want to send price back down to the downside. I'll tell you where I think the downside could go, but that's going to be a big thing. If the weekly chart cannot get a close above 265, it's going to probably be a sign that Tesla needs to cool off and come back down. I don't think, however, that means that we can't get up to these higher levels. On the daily chart, you still see the take profit be up at those levels, around 280, give or take. So I wouldn't be surprised, T-Shim, and I also believe later this month there's earning reports. I wouldn't be surprised to see Tesla during this week. It's only Wednesday. We have 2 more days of the markets being open for it to rally up and possibly touch 280 and then come back down and close below 261. In which case we leave this order block as a strong level of resistance. And then you come down here and you look at where could we possibly pull back down to. We'll take a look at where we've set up a strong breaker block of support, matching right where our daily blue cloud smart trail is. This would make a lot of sense if we did kind of come here to 280 and then fall back down to 200. Guess what happens? If I were to turn off Luxalgo, this would still be an extremely bullish chart, where we broke out of a level where $200 was a major level of resistance in February and once again here in April. And then after a massive bullish breakout, we retest that level as support, signaling a higher low once again in a bullish trend for Tesla, which, by the way, earlier when we were talking about rate cuts, guess what kinds of fields will benefit from rate cuts? Housing markets, because people borrow money to go buy houses, and car markets where people borrow money to go buy or lease vehicles. Tesla and Elon Musk have been begging the Fed for 2 years now to cut rates. Once those rates get cut, that should actually be a bonus in Tesla stock. We got to wait probably until September until that happens. But right now, I don't think it's crazy to see Tesla pull back down to $200 before the next big leg of the bull market continues for them.
And let me just say, like, I bought Tesla, I think 180, right? And I think that was my entry. And so that's my average entry, right? I'm waiting for this to pull back before I add, right? I'm not chasing this higher because I actually made that mistake with AVAX. I got a good bag of AVAX low, and then I bought it high, and, it lowered my average entry. And now that there's been a big retracement for AVAX and other altcoins, I could have positioned myself better. With Tesla, I'm learning my lesson, and I'm keeping my dry powder on the sideline to be able to buy Tesla when it pulls back. If it pulls back, if it doesn't pull back, then the worst case scenario, I sell for a profit at once it breaches all-time highs after a rate cut or another bullish event. But Tesla is a testament right now to investors believing the promise coming from Elon that they are pivoting from being just an automobile manufacturer. They're also being an AI and robotics innovator, right? And who better to sell that kind of promise than your boy Elon Musk, the Doge father. So it's exciting. Crux saying hold Tesla through the crypto bear market. Yeah,
I agree. And again, my thought here is if you don't hold Tesla and you want to get a hold of some, it's still not, honestly, it's not a bad purchase at 260. I just think there's a possibility of a purchase at 200. Not guaranteed. There's no guarantee in it, but the charts do show that could potentially play out. Would be a very interesting spot for a buy signal. Now, we're going to close up the stream. We're about to jump into our community, our Wednesday membership community. But Conan asking about Quant. Conan, I love it. I wish I had more time. Here's what I'm going to tell you guys, though. And we just kind of pitched this. There's actually a couple ways to join our VIP trading group. One of the best ones is buying Luxago because you get the best indicator and you get to join the group. But there's also membership options in our Discord that you can go and purchase and get into that VIP trading group. One of the perks is I do streams twice a week, teaching people about TA, taking your questions about charts. But throughout the week, daily, if you go into the VIP trading chat and you say, Tim, what's happening with Quant? I'd love some more answers to what's going on. I might not get back to you in like 2 seconds, but I will get back to you with my thoughts. And something I'm thinking about, I might start from time to time around 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, some days going live in Discord in that VIP trading group just to do some 20 minutes, 30 minutes of live TA Q&A. So if you want access to Tim, to T-Shroom, to Crux, to other great minds in the crypto space throughout the day, not only at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, make sure you go join the memberships, go get Luxago, join the VIP trading group. That is your route to getting access to us more and more and more. With that said, though, we love each and every single last one of you guys. Before we leave, we do have one more day for our challenge for our Life of the Innocent fundraising. Again, if you believe in helping other people, if you believe that you've been blessed to bless others, I challenge you to take all of your profits from your trades this week and donate to our ministry. It's not our personal ministry, but the ministry we support, Life of the Innocent, going into South Asia, saving the lives of millions of children in sex and organ trafficking. Please, please, please consider it. Even if it's just $100, donate everything that you can. Links are down in the description below. That challenge will end tomorrow. I'm looking forward to seeing what the Bros community can do. That being said, love you guys. See you members here in just a couple of minutes. The rest of you, see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Adios.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shroom's news, got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.